Good afternoon, Ma'am Eva, and good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are going to present our analysis, which is multimodal discourse analysis of at maju.id and Instagram posts on BEM UI's protest against MBG and Koperasi Desa programs. Next slide, please. Before that, let me introduce the group members. There is me, Fania Zahra, Oktria Ramadhani, and Sharon Nakasha Aurelia. Next slide, please. So the analysis is divided into three tracks. The first track, which is track A, ideational and representational meaning, is going to be explained by me, Fania. Track B, interpersonal and interactional meaning, will be explained by Octria. And track C, textual and compositional structures and power dynamics, will be explained by Sharon. Next slide, please. This is the post that we analyze. So, how all three analytical dimensions interact holistically to formulate the ideological message concerning the selected Indonesian issue. Next slide, please. So, I'm going to explain first about the track A, how the post represent the protests. Next slide, please. Track F focus on the ideational and representational meaning of the Instagram post. This track looks at how the post represent reality through both the image and the text, and specifically, it analyzed the participant, the action, the setting, and the conceptual meaning. So first, let's look at the participant. So there are three main participants, which is the student protester, they are shown as a large group wearing the yellow alma mater jacket, and the jacket represents student identity and unity, making the students appear organized. And then there's also the government, who is also represented, but only symbolically, and it appears through references to the MBG and Koperasi Desa programs and the image of President Prabowo. So the President Prabowo appears when one of the students wearing a mask of the face of the President Prabowo. And although the government is not physically present, it is clearly shown that as the target of the student criticism. Next slide, please. Next, there are the action. So actually, the main action is the protest, and the Highland states that BEM UI will hold up a protest, and the phrase demo lanjutan shows that this is an ongoing movement, not just a one-time event. And the headline also explained that the protest is against the MBG and Koperasi Desa programs, which give it a really clear political purpose. Next slide, please. And the third aspect is the environmental setting. So the protest takes place in a really crowded public place filled with students and protest signs. The setting makes the protest appear more serious and emphasize that this is not an individual issue, but this is a public issue. And the large crowd also gives the impression of unity and collective support. Next slide, please. And finally, the conceptual representation. Uh, the pose, those more than show a protest. It represents the students as active political actors who challenge the government policy, while the government is portrayed as the target of public criticism. And in addition, there is a label which said "Fakta Terverifikasi," and the label makes the post appear more credible and strengthen the idea that the protest is legitimate. Although that we can really sure about the label. But overall, Tracks A shows that This Instagram post does more than simply report an event. It represents the students as legitimate political actor who challenge government policy, while the government is represented as the object of public criticism. However, the track alone does not fully communicate the post ideological message. It will be meaningful if it works together with the other analytical dimension, which is gonna be explained by the other group members. The next one is Octria. Octria, the screen is yours.
Next slide, please. So I will continue with track B, which is about interpersonal or interactional meaning. This part explains how the Instagram post engage its audience through visual elements. Next slide, please. For the gaze, the slide shows that there is mostly an overgaze, while one participant wearing a probable face mask that creates a demon gaze. This means that most of the protesters are not looking directly at the viewers, so the audience becomes the observers of the event. However, there is one participant wearing the probable face mask that looks directly toward the camera. This gesture is creating a demon gaze that immediately attracts viewers' attention and creates a stronger connection with the audience. Next is social distance. The image uses a medium shot which allows viewers to clearly observe the protesters and the protest situation without feeling either too close or too far away. Overall, these elements position viewers as observers while still encouraging them to pay attention and engage with the message of the protest. Next slide, please. Next, I will explain about camera angle and modality. The slide shows that the camera angle uses an eye-level angle, which creates equality between viewers and the protesters. It also shows high modality through realistic colors and an authentic protest scene. This eye-level angle makes the audience feel as if they are standing in the same position as the protesters, rather than looking down on them or looking up to them. It creates a sense of equality and makes the interaction feel more balanced. In addition, the image has high modality because it presents realistic colors, natural lighting, and an authentic protest environment. These visual features makes the scene look believable and trustworthy, allowing the viewers to accept the message more easily. As a result, the protest appears more realistic and the information shared in the post becomes more convincing. Next slide, please. And now I will continue with color and purple tone. The slide shows that the yellow UI jacket stands out the most, highlighting the student identity and drawing viewers' attention. It also mentions the headline, "Belum puas, BUI akan gelar demo lanjutan," etc., which has a critical but informative tone. The bright yellow jackets immediately become the main visual focus and make it easy for viewers to recognize that the protesters are members of the BUI. This strong color contrast also helps direct the audience attention to the central subjects in the image. Meanwhile, the headline clearly informs the viewers that the protest will continue while expressing concern about the MBG and Koperasi Desa. Instead of sounding emotional or aggressive, the wording remains informative while still encouraging the audience to reflect on the issue. Together, the visual and verbal elements support each other in delivering a clear, meaningful, and persuasive message. Next slide, please. Finally, I will summarize the overall interpersonal meaning of this post. The key findings are over and demand gaze, medium social distance, eye-level angle, high modality, and color and verbal tone. These visual and verbal elements work together to shape the relationship between the post and its audience. The audience is positioned as observers through the overgaze, but they are also encouraged to engage with the protest through the demon gaze created by one participant. The eye-level angle creates equality, the medium social distance provides a clear view of the protest, and the high modality makes the image appear realistic and credible. Finally, the combination of color and verbal tone strengthens the message and helps viewers understand the issue better. Overall, the post not only informs the audience about the protest, but also encourages them to reflect critically on the MBG and Koperasi Desa issue and consider the protesters' perspective. And the next slide will be presented by Sharon.
All right, so this is the track C, which is the textual or compositional structures and power dynamics, which we will analyze how the post constructs power relations through compositional structures. And in this track, the focus relies on the textual or compositional structure of the Instagram post. Using Kress and Van Leeuwen's visual grammar, we examine three main aspects that consist of information value, salience, and framing. Then these findings are interpreted through critical discourse analysis to reveal the underlying power relations. Next slide, please. All right, and as for the information value, we see that there are ideal, real, center, margin, and given in new, and we'll explain it one by one. So first, we got information and values that explains how meaning is created through layout, like how different positions create different meanings. And as you can see that at the top are the upper sections of the poster or Instagram post. We can say that this is the ideal sections, which contains the Maju Indonesia logo, which is the verification label and the crowd of BEM UI students. And these elements represents credibility and democratic participation. Meanwhile, at the bottom or the lower section, we can say that as the real section contains the headline about the continuations of the protest, which connects those ideals with actual political action. And moving on to the compositions, which also follows the central and margin structure, because the students who uses a cutout mask resembles Prabowo holding a placard that said "Benzin mahal" is placed in the center, making public dissatisfactions the main message, while the surrounding protesters support the central idea. And at the third one, although the given new structure is less obvious, the left side presents familiar economic issues like fuel prices, whereas the right side introduces stronger political criticism toward the government. Next slide, please. And then we move on to the visual salience. So the next aspect, we can explain which elements that attract attention first. And the most noticeable element is the Benzin Mahal placard because of its large size and central positions, which immediately directs viewers to the economic concerns. And also the cutout image of President Prabowo also becomes highly salient, linking political responsibility directly to presidential leadership. Meanwhile, the yellow jackets or yellow alma maters whereby BEM UI strengthen the identity of BEM UI itself as a united students movement. And also the yellow typography highlights keywords such as belum puas and demo lanjutan, which also highlights this movement by BEM UI. And next slide, please. Now we're gonna move it on to the framing. So the image also demonstrates a strong framing, which the photograph and headline are integrated into one visual compositions. So the protest appears as direct evidence supporting the news, and there is no clear separation between the image and the text. We can see that in this three, which consists of strong interconnections. So the image and headline form is one visual unit, and protests serve as the evidence of the news. And also it becomes the meta frame, which consists in the Maju Indonesia and Fakta Terverifikasi, and as well as the effects, which the effects is reinforces credibility and legitimates the protest narrative. And yeah, it's create a meta frame that positions the post as credible and factual, making the political message appear more legitimate. And next slide, please. Okay, now that we got the political dynamics. So from the critical discourse analysis perspective, these compositional choices are not neutral and never neutral. And the students are positioned as active political actors who challenge governmental authority. And we can see that at the same time, the post contrast with the government's narrative that presents a free nutritious meal, or as known as MBG and Koperasi Desa, as welfare programs. And this creates two competing interpretations, which one from the government and another from the protesters. And Instagram therefore functions not only as a platform for sharing information, but also as a space where political meanings and ideologies are negotiated. Next slide, please. And this track will be explained by all of us.
So, this is the synthesis integrating the track A, track B, and track C. So, from the ideational and representational perspective, the Instagram posts represent BEM UI students as the main participant in the protest against the MBG and Koperasi Desa programs. Through the students' protest signs and the public setting, the post portrays the demonstration as a collective political action, and this visual and verbal element establish who is involved, what action is taking place, and why the protest is being carried out.
From the interpersonal perspective, the post also builds a relationship with viewers. The use of over and dim gaze, medium social distance, high-level camera angle, high modality, and the combination of color and verbal tone encourage viewers to observe the protest while reflecting critically on the issue. These elements make the post appear realistic, credible, and engaging for the audience.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now that we reach out to the track synthesis, so finally, the compositional analysis shows how the visual and verbal elements are organized to guide viewers' interpretations through information value, visual salience, and framing. The post highlights the protesters' political symbols and headline as the main focus. As a result, the three analyses complement each other, which track A explains what is represented, track B explains how viewers are engaged, and track C explains how the message is organized. And taken all together, they show that the Instagram post does not simply report a protest, but constructs it as a credible and meaningful public issue that encourages critical reflections on government policies.
Okay, I think that's all from our analysis. Thank you for your attention.